Coming to you from Frisco, Colorado,
this is the GCN Show.
Welcome to the GCN Show.
Coming up this week, gravel racing now has rules. What are they? Is the spirit still safe? And is it inevitable that you have to have rules?
I hope the spirit's still safe, Si. We've also got smart tyres, IKEA solar e-bike deliveries, ex-pros on rim brakes, and much more besides. This week, in the world of cycling, we learned that cyclocross races are made of tough stuff.
That probably was your downfall, Dan, wasn't
I think it probably was, yes.
This was Puck Petersen.
Fernandroy, who's down, and now it's Peters' turn to hit the sand.
And this was Fem van Empel in Sunday's epic World Cup that took place in Zonhoven.
Down the big exhibit.
Oh, and a huge crash.
Yet both of them picked themselves back up and finished second and third respectively on the day.
Fair play. Now, for context, this is what Ollie Bridge would look like when he tried that infamous Zonhoven sandpit.
In the men's race, Van der Poel also stacked it and got completely schooled by Wout van Aert, who notched up his 8th win from 11 starts so far this season.
Sorry, we got to stop you there, mate. I wouldn't say schooled. I mean, Van der Poel's got a sore back again.
Well, I know that you're Van der Poel's biggest fan.
Yeah.
But even you've got to admit that Van Aert is on another level this year.
No, I don't think you have to admit that at all, actually. I completely disagree. I think Van der Poel is basically on the same level. He's just had one or two little mistakes and now he's got a sore back.
Meanwhile, we also learned this week that gravel racing has banned stuff with new written rules.
Yes, in the void left by the UCI in the biggest races in the gravel calendar, Unbound, the unofficial world champs as opposed to the official world champs, announced last week that they are shaking up a few well-established gravel racing rules.
Yes, now to our knowledge, it's the first major change in the written rules of gravel racing. The first one? Well, aero bars are now banned for elite riders.
Oh my word, it has finally happened. The debate of the decade, should aero bars be allowed in gravel, has finally been settled. Fireworks was seen over British Columbia as longtime critic Jeff Kabush finally got his way.
Yeah, and you'd have thought he'd have been happy about it, but no, he's moved on to moaning about other things now. The argument for banning aero bars is that they weren't safe when you're in a bunch, which is completely valid, except that they have only been banned for the elite riders. So I think it's just because enough riders in that elite category felt that they were a bit dorky.
Yes, either that or the safety of non-elite cyclists is just not a priority.
Well, to be fair to the organisers, they were actually on Ian Boswell's podcast recently, Breakfast with Boz, and they said there that they had considered banning aero bars for everybody, not just the elites, but decided that since amateur riders spend a lot of the event on their own and take a lot longer to cover the distance than the pro riders, that the extra position is really helpful for them and probably doesn't pose a huge risk to themselves or to other riders in the event.
Well, that sounds fair enough, doesn't it, I guess?
Well, they also said that the emphasis is on the journey person athlete that's the spirit of gravel.
Oh yeah, the spirit of gravel. You'll be a journey person athlete, won't you, when you're back to full strength?
Thanks very much. Well, I won't be pro.
They're looking out for you, aren't they? Next, the elite riders have been given a separate start time from the mass participation riders, and most importantly of all, the elite women will be starting 2 minutes behind the men.
Now that, we reckon, is a really good thing.
Yeah.
Firstly, and this point can be argued to be fair, but it should make for a much fairer women's race. Secondly, it would allow the organisers to showcase what is happening at the front of the women's race, which is currently quite difficult to do when the best women's races are kind of intermingled in with the elite men's.
Yes, I'll be really interested, to see how, or indeed if, it changes the dynamic of the women's race. How long will it take for the lead riders to catch up with the men's field? If they can, do you go flat out for the first 20 minutes to try and catch up? Or how long will it be until one of the men's field deliberately drops back to help a rider in the women's field?
That would be controversial beef again, wouldn't it?
Against the spirit of gravel, that.
And about 8 minutes after the elite women have started their race, all the other participants will be sent off together. Now, I can see why they've done this, but it does seem a shame that nobody's going to get to see how long they can keep up with the head of the race for, doesn't it?
No, and that is quite a draw, isn't it, for a lot of people. even if you then blow up spectacularly with 12 hours still to go.
Yes, exactly that. Right then, what do we think about these rules then, Si?
Well, I think they're good. I mean, aero bars, I couldn't care less about. That's like a storm in a teacup, isn't it? It doesn't bother me in the slightest.
It's a storm in a teacup that we've made a lot of content about.
Yeah, we have, yeah. I think you have to have rules if you want a fair race, don't you? Like, you can't have any form of sporting competition without rules, because otherwise people will end up taking advantage. So I think it's a good thing, isn't it? But then equally, I think for the majority of people, it really doesn't matter, because if you're just trying to complete the event, effectively, there are no rules within there that are going to be relevant, apart from no e-bikes.
And it's the journey person athlete that is the spirit of gravel, Si.
That's right.
We just found out.
As much as Peter Stettiner likes to think that he is the spirit of gravel, he isn't.
No. My thoughts are that this is brilliant. I think that if you're going to have races and riders within it who make a career and an earning from racing, that you've got to have specific rules in place, because otherwise all you get is all this beef, all these arguments. On the other side of the coin, I can't help but think that all these arguments put more attention onto gravel riding, that if they've got all these fixed rules in place, maybe we won't talk about it so much as we do at the moment.
Good point. I also want to know how you get an elite start.
Yes, well, they haven't specified how many elite riders will be in those pens.
No.
Could be 100, could be 150, could be 200 riders, apparently.
And Jeff Kabush was moaning just the other day about how to get on the Lifetime Grand Prix roster of invited athletes.
Lifetime.
Apparently you need a big Instagram following.
That reminds me, actually, we never got onto the Gravel Riding Hall of Fame or whatever it was, the induction.
Oh, yeah. If
never got the invite.
Yeah.
I think they did acknowledge.
They acknowledged that we've been nominated. But yeah, if you know anything else about the Gravel Hall of Fame, then do please let us know. Also, let us know what you think about these rules in gravel. Is it essential to have rules in cycling competition, and therefore is it essential for gravel to have them? Maybe you could have just like a, don't be an ass rule. Just one rule that's just don't be an ass.
Oh, great, so I can't even enter.
No, not at all. And that's the point, isn't it? You basically just get to decide by general consensus what the rules are as and when, just as long as you're not an ass.
Well, watch this space. There might be more rules to come, but like I said, we'd love to hear your thoughts on this, which, as ever, you can leave in the comment section just down below.
And now it's time for Cycling Shorts.
Cycling Shorts now, and we will start with news from the annual Consumer Electronics Show in the US. Now, this won't take long though, because there hasn't really been a great deal for bike riders to get excited about, other than a Japanese e-bike that sort of becomes a suitcase.
Not exactly a Brompton set, is it?
No.
I mean, it looks like you're riding a suitcase, but it doesn't exactly fold into one. Road CC had a link to some new airless tyres, though, which was quite intriguing, wasn't it?
That's right, the Smart Tyre Company, which ironically isn't electronic or smart at all, but they do seem quite clever.
Clever tech. So last millennium, isn't it?
Isn't it, yeah.
Anyway, they have a special metal wired frame covered by a special poly rubber covering, and unlike previous airless tyres, they are claiming that they have very low rolling resistance.
Special. Now, they also claim that they are, and I quote, the coolest freaking bike tyres you'll ever own using NASA technology.
Wow, I'm sold.
Yeah, next.
No, I'm only joking. I definitely need to be convinced for this one. Now, here's a bit of interesting news. Bike Europe commissioned a study by international research agency GfK into attitudes around compulsory bike helmet use, over in the Netherlands, the bike-mad country. Something that is being mooted for e-bikes owing to the rise in fatalities over there.
That's right. Of 50,000 people in GfK's consumer panel, 3,567 said that they were planning to buy an e-bike. Now, asked whether they would still buy one if helmets were compulsory, 12% said they would not, and 38% said it would be unlikely.
The survey also identified 16,601 people who already own an e-bike. They were asked whether they would continue to ride it if mandatory helmet use were introduced. Almost a quarter said no, or probably not.
That's bonkers, isn't it? I definitely don't think helmets should be compulsory, but I am really surprised by that attitude. Maybe, I guess it's because helmet use is so low in the Netherlands that it would feel like a bigger deal if you had to wear
Yeah, quite
a helmet.
possibly. I can see where you're coming from. Anyway, IKEA certainly isn't making their new delivery riders wear helmets.
No, not if this photo of an IKEA e-bike delivery person is anything to go by. These are the solar-powered e-bike riders, we should say, who've been operating in the Netherlands as well as part of a trial by IKEA, which has been deemed successful enough to be rolled out worldwide.
I love that story. Apparently 90% of their product range will fit into the bike of the three-wheeler, which is another statistic which, quite frankly, I find very hard to believe.
Yeah, I completely agree. There is no way on earth that 90% of IKEA's range. I mean, like, can you get a kitchen in
They
there?
are flat packed, aren't they?
Mattress?
No, that'd be difficult, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I struggled to get a mattress in the back of a VW Polo 15 years ago. There's no way you can do it. But anyway, we'll find out. Maybe there's a challenge in that. IKEA, let us know. We will try and lug some of your furniture around with an e-bike. Now, for viewers of a certain age, the Rally Chopper bike will have a special place in your heart. And for those of you, we're sorry to say, its designer, Tom Caron, passed away on New Year's Eve at the age of 96.
Yeah, he wasn't a bike designer per se, was he? Which is perhaps why the Chopper was so successful, channeling Formula One and drag car aesthetics. It was a beautiful, beautiful machine, wasn't it?
That's right, yeah. Now, moving on, the road racing season is kicking off down in Australia at the moment. Alex is in Adelaide this week ahead of the Tour Down Under, so if you see him, make sure you say hello and check in on his training as well. We don't want him slacking off. One rider who won't be there is former 32-time winner and recently retired pro Richie Port. Instead, he's back home in Tasmania, posting his first ride as a mammal, he said, on Instagram. And shock horror, Dan, he's back on rim brakes. That's right.
Or someone familiar with retiring pros will know, he's actually using whatever bike he happened to blag from the point of his career when he was given them for free. In this case, it's a 10-year-old Pinarello Dogma. If I wasn't still a pro rider, getting bikes for free, I'd also be on rim brakes, probably with 11-speed Campagnola Chorus.
Well, that is the very bike that I actually own, because it is the last one that I got given as a bike. Yeah, and so yeah,
That's a great example I gave you.
If the GCN Dream dried up tomorrow, that's what I'll be on.
I would be on a 2012 Specialized Venge with electronic campy super record.
Yeah.
But rim brakes.
Have you got a charger for it though?
No, I'm in the 5311. I will find it one day. Now, if you cannot wait for the Tour Down Under to get going, you can catch up on the Australian Road Nationals because they were on GCN Plus. At those Nationals, Alex Bonnier, who was the winner of the 2021 Zwift Academy, finished third in the under-23 race.
He did. He said on Instagram that it was a sick race.
Which, we think that's good, isn't it? These days?
I don't
Sick
know,
race.
mate. I had a sick race once in Liechtenstein where I pulled out after 10 minutes and projectile vomited over the entire feed zone. No word of a lie. I've never been back.
Well, thankfully, everyone else had been through the feed zone before you got there, so.
No, it was laps.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Well, I dread to think what some of the pros and other riders found in their feed bags that particular day.
Yeah.
Anyway, speaking of ex-professional riders, Alex Dowsett has just announced that he's joining the aero clothing company No Pins as a shareholder, but also as an R&D role, or in an R&D role.
That's right, yeah. A role actually that he's kind of been doing at the company unofficially, he said, for nearly 10 years, apparently. But it did get me thinking though, as a retired ex-road pro, does that mean that an aero gravel range is coming? Is it inevitable that Dowsett will ride gravel now?
Well, without being able to use aero bars, they might need to make up for it in other ways, mightn't they?
Well, that's it. Full-blown aero socks up. Well, yeah, because there's no sock rules, are there?
Are they not?
Dude, this is gravel. Of course there's not sock rules.
Surely. It must be at least a rule that says you've got to wear some.
I want to see Alex Dowsett rock up to Unbound gravel in the most aerodynamic skin suit, courtesy of No Pins.
Knee-high socks.
On the planet. Yeah, knee-high socks.
Aero helmet.
Aero gloves. Yeah, why not? You know you want to, Alex. That would be amazing.
Yes, please.
And they could make it like, I don't know, tartan, just so that it's vaguely gravelly.
They could do, yes. Or like denim with rips in
Aero
it.
tartan. Yeah.
Denim with rips in it wouldn't be very aero though, would it?
No, but you could make it look like it's ripped denim, couldn't you? Oh, come on.
We've got slightly off topic.
Yeah, we have, yeah.
So, not really back on topic, but we want to say a huge thank you to Mike Brennan, who sent us in the 1989 official Tour de Trump race programme,
my word.
as well as a newspaper.
That
from
is
the very
fantastic. So, for those of you that haven't been following bike racing for the last 34 years, the Tour de Trump used to be America's premier road stage race, and the reason it is the Tour de Trump is because it was literally sponsored by, look, there he is, Donald Trump himself.
Quite amazing, really. I mean, yeah, he found it in his loft, or at least in a box of biking memorabilia. Didn't know what to do with it, so Mike sent it over to us. So we've got to say a huge thank you. He was teaching at a school nearby at the time, and he was coaching the cycling club within the school. But I think it was his kids that got a lot of signatures in there. But I can't make many of them out. The only one I can decipher is Rolf Aldag, who was riding for East Germany.
No
That's
way.
how long ago this was.
There is no mistaking the decade. Look at the moustaches, and look as well at this. Look at this poor lady's outfit.
It's called a leotard, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but it's like full length, and then she's got a pair of pants over the top.
I mean, that's quite the indoor bike, isn't it?
That is, yeah,
They've
that's
come a long way since then. What we were discussing and had quite a long debate about, though, was the price of the programme.
Yeah.
I feel like we should send Mike some money.
$5 back in 1989. I mean, what's that in today's money? Like $50?
Probably. Well, I mean, Si and I had this debate about whether or not we'd pay $5 now in 2023 for any kind of official sporting programme anywhere in the world. And the conclusion was no, we're too tight.
Absolutely not. No way. No one. Oh, look, Greg LeMond. Greg LeMond was going to be in it as
I
well.
thought that was Hank for a second. It's very similar.
It does look very
anyway,
similar, doesn't
moving
it?
on, bit of housekeeping here at GCN Towers. First up, we have got a 50% off sale on certain items
We have.
over on shop.globalcyclingnetwork.com. Included within that is the Castelli Competizione design range, although there are limited sizes left available, so if you want to get some, you'd better be quick.
That's right. Refresh your kit and save while you still can.
Crikey, Mr. Salesperson.
Well, I like
right
Mr.
here.
Trump himself. Right, next up, we've also got to give you a bit of a reminder, shake you, because the Global Bike Festival tickets are up for pre-sale now, or sale?
I don't know, but you can buy them anyway from
You can buy them, yeah.
globalbikefestival.com/sale.
Don't miss out this year like I did last year, not because I didn't buy tickets, but because I got COVID and couldn't go. But 15th to the 18th of June, it's in Solbach in Austria once again. Great road riding, gravel riding, mountain biking, après bike.
I'll tell you what, it was
Place.
really great to see all the different kinds of cyclists together at once. It was a bit like the
Spirit of
Glasgow
Gravel?
World Championships are going to be this year with
Yeah.
all the different events. But no, it was really good. We had some great guests last year. We're going to have even better guests this time around, as in the sort of celebrity bike riders that will be up there on stage and mingling with the guests as well. So it's going to be bigger and better than 2022. And that in part is because Si should be there this year.
And not only that, Dan, we'll be celebrating my 40th birthday.
Oh, will we?
Early 40th birthday, yeah. So my birthday is actually on the 21st. So it feels appropriate to have some kind
Well,
of...
we can celebrate your final days as a 30-year-old, can't we? Well, in your 30s, should I say.
That's it. No, I've embraced it now, mate. I'm a veteran.
You're already there in your head, aren't you?
Yeah.
In the over 40s.
That's it.
I can't wait to welcome you. Next up, hack/bodge of the week. First up, this one from David Ehrlich, bicycle-powered lawnmower seen during a New Year's Day ride in Chatham, New Jersey, USA. Bodge.
Yeah, the geometry of that is all wrong, isn't it?
Well, also, I mean,
handling would be terrible.
The weight of the rider on that rear wheel is going to ruin the lawn.
Is that right?
I'd have thought so.
Yeah, although 59% of you lot thought that was a hack, so maybe not quite as many lawn connoisseurs out there as Dan. Anyway, next up, this one from Eduardo Cavallo. Squeaky door hinge solved. What relevance is this, you might ask? Well, I usually wake up, he says, early to ride and the door hinge was squeaky, and waking up my wife solved with cleaning the hinge and using some bike grease. Some Prime Park Tool grease there. I don't know.
I've done that before.
What? Grease a hinge?
Yeah.
With actual grease? Why? I'd
Not
just
grease,
spray
no
it on.
oil. Just, yeah, some sort of, but bike related.
Well, of
That's
course.
the only kind of oil I've got.
Yeah. No, I like
it's
that.
easier than a castor oil can, isn't it, on a hinge?
This feels like a proper long-term solution, though. So fair play, Eduardo.
Yeah.
Hack from me.
That's a hack from me as well.
Hack from-
Presumably, it's a hack from Eduardo's wife.
Well, absolutely, yeah. 90% of you lot thought that was a hack as well.
Very good.
So yeah.
Ox Cyclist has made some homebrew carbon shoes.
Whoa.
Brewing for a while, but finally got round to finishing them this Christmas. Fit like a sock. All my own work.
Well, fair play, because making your own carbon
Yeah.
anything is right up there.
Adam
But
Hansen, eat your heart out.
I don't want to be controversial here.
Go ahead, mate.
I just wonder whether putting performance at the top of the list when it comes to shoes. Like shoes can be aesthetically pleasing, can't they? It's stylish things.
Yeah.
And I'm not entirely sure these would count as either of those things. So I feel like by gaining performance and lightweight and also
there's
saving
loads-
a few quid.
There's loads of aero stuff that's not stylish, isn't there?
Well, I know, but shoes, I love shoes. And I'm just not sure I could ever learn to love these.
No. Well, unfortunately, I'm not sure who voted Hack and who voted Bodge or what the percentage was, but I'm going to presume that the vast majority of people did vote that as a Hack.
Yeah,
You're going
okay.
Bodge, are you?
Well, no, I'm not going Bodge because I think it's amazing. I just think they're not very nice looking.
Well, maybe save your Bodge voting for the next one. So it comes in
good grief!
from Rob.George, found on our Facebook page. Lightweight V brakes. I'm sure Si will be a fan of this one.
Word.
I mean, it's quite complicated, really, the structure of the and the number of zip ties that have been used for this braking system.
Well, I mean, you definitely want more zip ties rather than less in this particular application, given that your life is relying on the integrity of those infernal bits of crappy plastic. But obviously, it's a huge bodge in so many levels.
It is, yes.
Unless
Bodge from me as well.
your brake straddle wire broke when you were out on a ride and all you had to get you home safely were 34 zip ties in your
Yes.
saddlebag, in which case it's a roadside hack. But
Probably wasn't, so it's a bodge.
It's a
and
massive
that's
bodge.
how 87% of you voted. One final one that came in from Bonalaw, improvised cocktail shaker, Christmas holiday cottage, forgot to take a cocktail shaker. GCN water bottle worked just as well for the French martinis.
that is cool. Yeah, hack from me as well. And not only that, I mean, hats off to you for taking a cocktail shaker with you on holiday in the first
Well, they
place.
didn't. That was
Well, no, but
brilliant.
as in the planning on
Amazing
taking a
that they
cocktail
took
shaker.
the cocktail glasses. It's planned that much, but not the actual shaker. But
Oh,
thankfully
that's
the GCN
that's incredible. I reckon you've probably got another recruit for wet January there, Dan, taking cocktail shakers on holidays. No, that's cool. What a great use for a GCN Elite water bottle
Yes,
as well.
fantastic. Right, don't forget to get voting on next week's hacks and bodges, which are already on the GCN app, and indeed submitting your own, ready for a couple of weeks' time.
Also, if you could just let us know, did your bottle taste afterwards of French martinis when you went out the next day? Did you know, like it might leave a sort of residual,
Lingering taste,
a bit
yes.
like energy drink sometimes does.
It often does, yeah.
Yeah. It's time now for Caption Competition, that part of the show where you get a chance to get your hands on a coveted GCN Elite water bottle. Actually, something I haven't told you yet, Dan, hot off the press. We might be getting limited edition gold GCN bottles for
Crikey.
Caption Competition for the very best captions.
Oh, so not every week?
Not every week, no, only a
Oh,
certain...
I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that.
Really?
Well, yes, because when somebody wins the caption, currently they're over the moon, but now they're sort of be over the moon, and then, but it wasn't quite good enough for a gold one.
Wow, that's a good point. Is it against the spirit?
It's against the spirit of caption competition.
Well, anyway, let us know in the comment section down below because, yeah, we want to be governed by your rules, like, you know, as much as ours. Anyway, there we go. But to cut long story short, we could be getting some custom gold bottles, which would be pretty cool.
Yes, a few of which
Gold!
might go missing.
Right. Anyway, caption competition. As you well know by now, all you've got to do is put a witty caption to a photo that we're about to give you. And we'll start with the results, which was the big three on a podium.
With different sized beers. Know which one I'd like. The winning captain this week comes in from Di Flynn. Vanderpool is an eternal optimist, but is thinking IPA lot when I drink this much beer.
Hey, IPA lot. There we go. That's quite funny, that.
Yes, very
Would it
good.
be a gold bottle winner then?
I reckon that would be because there's optimist in there as well.
2 puns for the price of one.
Yeah.
I maintain the fact that was Vanderpool's last win, wasn't it?
It was, yes.
So,
You
like,
must be gutted as the ultimate fanboy.
I am gutted, yeah, and I'm blaming it entirely on that oversized beer.
Yes, could well be that, couldn't it?
Could
Probably
well be that
refilled
bit.
the glass. Maybe it was a bottomless glass as well.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah, I don't think he'd been training for his beers quite like he had done the year before.
No, Dive Flynn, get in touch with us on Facebook with a message and your address, and we'll get a bottle sent out to you. Unfortunately, not a gold one.
Not
just
yet. You got to
Not
keep
because your
playing.
caption wasn't good enough, but we just haven't seen the bottles arrive
Just
just
keep
yet.
playing the game. That's right.
This week's photo comes from the Zonhoven round of the UCI World Cup.
What's going on there?
Well, it looks like somebody trying to get on course by doing a limbo. But I will get you started. How long is a piece of string? Not bloody long enough. Look what I'm having to do to get under it. Or organisers introduce new clothesline section to the Zonhoven World Cup course.
I think the first one was better.
Okay.
First
We'll
one
go
was
with that.
old.
Let's edit the other one out then.
Yeah, the first one was a gold caption winner. The second one, just like a standard. Anyway, there we go. That's a good photo to get your teeth stuck into. Get involved in the comments section down below. We will pick a winner next week.
We will shortly be letting you know what's coming up on GCN and GCN Plus in the coming week. But before that, we picked out some fantastic comments from last week's videos. Firstly, a couple that were under a pro on a cheap bike versus Ollie Bridgewood on a pro bike. Most of the comments didn't seem to revolve around Ollie's stupendous performance against the top pro, this Joe Dombrowski, but rather...
Not Ian Boswell.
Not Ian Boswell, no. But rather on Ollie's track stand.
Yes.
There were a lot of very impressed people with Ollie's track stand.
Well, I think there's two things for this. First, it was a very nice track stand, but also because, spoiler alert here, Ollie got beaten, didn't he, by Joe Dombrowski?
Yeah, only
Admittedly,
because of that traffic light.
He got out sprinted. Like Dombrowski, it was a fine finish from Dombrowski, wasn't it? I was pretty impressed. But no, the reason Ollie, I think, is so good at track stands is because he finds it really hard to clip into his pedals.
Or maybe he finds it hard to clip into his pedals because he's so good at track stands.
Oh, I see what you mean.
He hardly ever has to do
He's
it.
never practiced because he's just never stopped.
The only time he ever has to clip in is the very first clip in of the ride, and that's that.
Yeah, well, fair point. But no, he did look pretty cool there, didn't he?
Yeah.
Just like hanging around, no wobbles, fair play. Anyway, it's a cracking video, that. Make sure you check it out. Under the what's the best 30-minute exercise video, I like this one from Renslaw MTB. The best 30-minute exercise is the one you enjoy doing, which in turn is going to make you more consistent. Which I thought was a great comment. And then underneath they've put, although studies now show that strength training is the best exercise. So anyway, there we go. That would be the exercise that I stopped doing because I didn't enjoy it very much. But then having said that, I kind of peaked, I guess, at 15 press-ups. Don't need to do any more than that, do you?
And they weren't proper ones either, were they? We peaked at about 8 good ones. No, I'm only joking. Moving on, under common weight loss mistakes, Sean Walsh was one of many people to put a very similar comment. He said, hands down, my biggest mistake in the past was not fueling enough during longer rides. What I didn't know was the 1 gram of carbs per kilogram per hour ratio. And once I started to try to match that, I noticed a huge change. And lots of people writing in with very similar experiences.
It is a good rule, that one, isn't it? Yeah. No more getting hangry on bike rides. Under last week's show as well, unsurprisingly perhaps, quite a lot of debates asking whether or not cycling was getting dangerous. P. Becker, in Denmark, it's become safer. Many more cycling paths, national cycling routes on low traffic roads and lower max speed in cities. Also, they've said daylight riding lights also really work. So that's quite interesting, isn't it? Alwyn de Roy, in the Netherlands, the increase in cycling-related dangers is correlated with the use of e-bikes. There we go, what we touched on earlier.
We did,
wasn't it?
yes. Meanwhile, Thomas Hill, what we're getting here is basically where you live is a big deciding factor on whether or not you feel that cycling has got more dangerous. Thomas Hill lives in Idaho in the US, and he said he'd be interested in seeing the data about cycling safety and the increase in vehicle size. Over in Idaho, most of the population has a pickup truck and they're getting cartoonishly large.
Yeah, well, interestingly, actually, I saw something on Twitter just today about how the accident rate on rural roads in America has plummeted, whereas the accident rate on urban streets in America has increased correspondingly. So yeah, maybe something to explore in future weeks. But yeah, maybe again, there's no correlation between vehicle size. It's just the fear factor, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because they are quite scary.
Jeremy, it's me, man, in an American truck, a Ford.
Finally, on this subject, Edward Jednax wrote in to say the only thing that scares me are the gifted people who seem to be able to text and drive at the same time. Yeah, that one got a lot of likes.
Yeah.
Right, in terms of what we've got coming up for you this week, the first two videos on Wednesday and Thursday are definitely going to watch. They're very apt for me. On Thursday, how to get ripped. I'm ready to be skinny now. I just need muscles to look ripped, I think.
Yeah,
I mean, that's the only thing missing at this point.
Basically, yes. I'm quite intrigued to know how that video comes out. I've not watched it yet.
And on Friday, we've got Mythbusters about fasted training.
That's right. I think there's been a lot of science done recently into this topic. So I think attitudes are changing, aren't they, towards fasted training. Then on Saturday, talking of science, how low should you go with your tyre pressure? I have been out doing some pseudoscience of my own. No, I'm not going to do it down. Like proper experiments. Actual science. Yeah, actual science. No. But you can come and review it, peer review it if you like. Anyway, this is because tyre pressure's been going down as our tyres have been getting bigger. But what's the sweet spot? And then on Sunday, Hank and Connor gave up clipless pedals for a ride to see what would happen. I'm quite intrigued about.
I've been using flat pedals on my indoor trainer since I broke my ankle.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Just really for fear of not being able to unclip once I've got in. I mean, of course, on an indoor trainer, I could just take my shoe off. But I'm obviously going to try on unclipping.
Yeah.
It's twisting my foot and it scares me a bit at the moment.
And how are the flat pedals working out for you?
They're surprisingly grippy, actually. You can really sweep through the bottom of the stroke once you get the technique going. Obviously, you can't pull up, but actually, there's not much of the pedal stroke that you miss out on.
And not when you're doing 30 watts either, I guess.
Exactly, yeah.
What are you up to now,
well, I haven't ridden much since last week. 30 and 30 has not been... I might get 30 done in 30 total, I think.
30 minutes.
Basically a minute a day on average.
That's not the spirit of the things. Hopefully, a lot of you out there are joining us on our 30 and 30 January challenge. So 30 minutes of exercise every day for 30 days. You can have your rest day on January the 31st. And a reminder, actually, it's quite timely, you can join us, GCN presenters, most days actually on Zwift. So join the GCN club on Zwift, if you're on Zwift, of course. If you're not, there's a 14-day free trial, which pretty much take you close to the end of January now.
Not far off, yeah.
Join us. So we're leading group rides most days. So
what I will say, Si, is that whilst my 30 and 30 hasn't really gone to plan, I also committed to wet January, and that's been going fine.
Has it?
Yeah. I mean, it can be hard on Mondays and Tuesdays sometimes, but I've got through it.
Soldiering on.
I am, yes. Anyway, back on topic. Beyond what we've got on GCN Plus, we've got a brand new documentary out today, which is the inside story of Trek.
Oh, this is good. You have to watch it.
Yeah, Jeremy Powers went to visit them in Wisconsin, speak to the CEO, John Burke, as well as a whole host of their other stars, including the likes of Sven Nys. Who else? Lucinda Brand was in the video as well, I remember.
That's right, yeah. And oh my word, that's really embarrassing.
And many, many others.
Evie Richards. Sorry, I kept thinking couldn't get Annie Last, Tom Last's sister. Anyway, Evie Richards. But yeah, no, honestly, and Sven Nys. I've kind of forgotten in all my fanboying about Matthew van der Poel just how amazing Sven Nys still is on a cyclocross bike. Oh,
he's a legend, isn't he?
He is a legend. And John Burke's very cool as well. So yeah, do make sure you check that one out.
And then beyond the documentary, we have got road racing for you coming up on GCN Plus starting this Sunday. It's the return of World Tour racing because the Santos Women's Tour Down Under, back for the first time in 3 years, is a World Tour event this year, 3 days long. The men's race then starts on the same Tuesday that the women's race finishes, and there's some really big names on the start line of both. There are some territory restrictions, so make sure you look at what's available where you are before you get a subscription. But now is the perfect time to take out a 12-month subscription to GCN Plus. Right, I think that's all for this week's GCN show. We've probably rabbited on long enough.
I think we have, Dan. I feel like this is going to be a bumper episode, isn't it?
We shall finish by saying good luck to the editor.